I got a soil biology PhD, and now I'm a tutor and a babysitter and a dog sitter.
I know, my degree was in Chicano Studies and Film.
It was what?
Chicano Studies.
Today, I'm graduating from Columbia University with a degree in film.
What kind of job can you get when you graduate?
The same type of jobs you would get before you get a degree in film.
So today we're going to be taking a look at something we touched on a little bit when we're talking about the job market and student debt, and that is the college degree and seemingly how worthless so many of them have become in this climate. When everyone graduates with the same piece of paper, it's not nearly as special as what it used to be. The bar then gets raised when we're talking about job listings. Everyone needs a bachelor's, then everybody needs a master's. Then on top of it, you need years of experience just for the same low pay that we've all seen. And I'm just currently talking about degrees that most people would say are worthwhile to get. So when you get a degree in basket weaving or all the jokes that we've seen online before, you are just making your life exponentially harder. We have a ton of stuff to go over today along with comments from you guys from previous videos. So if you want to be featured on a future video, leave in the comments down below. But let's start off with a very popular clip going around recently with a very interesting PhD choice.
Getting crushed by capitalism is like so cringe, but it's like it's happening to me. And like I got a PhD from Berkeley and like I can't get a job to save my life. Like I got a soil biology PhD and like now I'm a tutor and a babysitter and a dog sitter. And like part of that is because like I don't want to like move to some random place in the middle of nowhere.
I don't know, I feel like there are definitely issues when it comes to capitalism, but you willingly choosing a soil biology PhD and then being shocked at how difficult it is to find a job along with not wanting to move out of your local area doesn't really seem like a capitalism problem to me. And as you could see the creator turning off the comment section for this video, you could understand the reaction most people had, but there is a little bit of a part two to the story.
I feel so stupid for listening to everyone in my life who said that if you follow your passions, the money will come, because I got like a whole ass PhD in soil biology because everybody eats, right? Everybody like wears clothes. And I thought that like sustainability was important or whatever. And now like, where are the jobs?
I don't know. I feel like that probably should have been researched before you got a doctorate, what the potential job market looked like for your degree. I think this also goes along with a comment from one of you guys. My grandmother always told me to do what you're good at, not what you love. Within a few years, you'll end up hating what you love. Make enough money with what you're good at so you could do what you love as a hobby. How many times have we all heard follow your passion and you'll never work a day in your life? That's most likely the case in today's world because you'll be unemployed, but unfortunately following your passion has put you into 5 or 6 figures worth of student debt and no job at the end of the road. We have another clip up on screen here. For some reason, when they all told me fashion degrees are useless and no one's getting hired, I didn't think it would apply to me. So many people think that they're the exception and not the rule. Currently in fashion school, and from what I've noticed from my own professors, you really can't get anywhere if you don't take that first unpaid internship from hell and connect with your boss's boss, and then at the same time have an actual job to pay your rent, and then also somehow be heavily involved on campus. It really seems impossible to me. I asked you guys, do you know someone with a degree that they don't use? And there were a lot of comments. 90% of the people that graduated, film degree, now I'm a CNA. Yeah, my ex-wife. I know someone who had a full ride scholarship to a 4-year college. They got a degree in English and now work for minimum wage. Me, I got a master's in marketing, research, and analytics. An acquaintance once, degree in zoology. Medical coding, $15,000 so you could get a customer service job. I have a psychology degree. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. My friend has a pharma degree. College of Pharmacy cost $140,000 and worked as a pharmacist a little bit, but he quit because it sucked. So you're back at square one. A bachelor's of science grad that became a manager at a pet fish store. I could really go on and on, but I think you guys get the picture. We could just move on to the next example.
So you went to community college for a decade?
I know, my degree was in Chicano Studies and Film.
It was what?
Chicano Studies.
Hold on, I'm real white. So I don't know what Chicano is.
Really? What?
I'm from Michigan. I saw one Mexican my entire life until I moved to Texas.
What? You need to go to LA. Chicano, it's a culture. Mexican American.
And you got a degree in that?
Yes.
On purpose?
Yeah, I wanted to connect to my roots.
Cool. Go to cultural landmark or read a book because you're not getting a job in Mexican American studies.
But I could go back to school.
We're just going to go straight to the comments for this one. The real scam is that colleges offer this as an option. As ridiculous as it sounds, they wouldn't offer it if people didn't take it. As a Mexican American, I'm not wasting my higher education on my roots. I could literally just talk to my grandma if I wanted to know more or read a book. That's what I was thinking. Wouldn't you just be able to talk to your own family about it? As a Mexican from Mexico, living in Mexico, that degree is absolutely wild. Why is this even a degree? It took her 10 years to get a degree in her own culture. She probably doesn't even speak Spanish. There was a ton of comments like that. I completely understand how difficult this job market is and how college kinda isn't worth it for a lot of people, especially with how expensive it's gotten compared to how low wages are for many careers right now. But when you start getting degrees like this, what am I supposed to say?
Today, I'm graduating from Columbia University with a degree in film.
What kind of job can you get when you graduate?
The same type of jobs you could get before you get a degree in film. You could produce, you could direct, you could PA, you could be a writer, you could profess. I want to be a showrunner. A TV showrunner is typically the executive producer / head writer of a series.
How much could you make in this field?
I don't know, like a couple 100,000, millions, if you're a showrunner, but it's like very few get to be showrunner, you know.
Again, kind of seems like zero research was done before you went to Columbia University. We've looked at it previously. It's around $60,000 to $70,000 a year to go to that school to get a film degree that even he said wouldn't really open up too many doors. You'd get the same type of jobs you'd get without that degree. And I've talked about it a little bit with you guys. I guess I would say I used to be on a similar boat to him. I went to a community college instead of a 4-year school because honestly my grades were not good. I guess overall that was a blessing in disguise, but I hopped around a couple majors until I landed on photography because I liked film, and that was the closest thing to it in my community college. But in the end, I did not want to make movies in California. I just like making YouTube videos, which newsflash, you don't need to go to school for. And for so many professional photographers or professional filmmakers, they didn't go to school for it either. They just did it. A lot of networking, putting your stuff on social media, very good work, is the way that most people grind out a career in that niche. But we could go over to some of the comments. Wasted 4 years. Bro went to one of the best schools in the world, but he sounds like he has no idea what he's gonna do. My daughter did TV production. Even her friends that got good jobs have all been laid off. The industry is so hard right now. So even if you are the real deal when it comes to this sort of work, you could still get laid off at a moment's notice. Another comment from you guys: when I graduated with my media studies degree, I realized quickly that it was for people with connections to get careers in film and radio. I had none. Fortunately, I graduated in 2014, so I was able to find a job in fast food and then retail immediately after graduating. I moved up to supervisor and then used a higher position to get another job, and now I'm a manager in event planning at a non-profit. There's always a way to pivot. You just can't be too picky on where you're going to start. But I will say that is much different than what you were initially going to school for, and there are many people who are realizing it now and cannot handle it.
My name's Morgan. In 2006, I graduated with a bachelor's degree in Women and Gender Studies. Next year will mark 20 years since I graduated. It's been a long and windy journey, but I've come to the extremely challenging conclusion that my degree was a mistake. The best sense I can make now, the overarching story, is that I was very young and insecure, full of anxiety when I got to college in 1999. I didn't feel power in myself. I was very shy, and I was looking for empowerment for myself, and college is not the place to be looking for that. College should be preparing people to find jobs.
And this is yet another one of the degrees that so many people joke about online. And because you're walking into these colleges or universities barely an adult, having to make choices and career paths that are supposed to be for the rest of your life, you could get roped into something that's just not worth it at all. And of course, it still sucks to realize that when you went in 1999, but imagine the difference right now doing it in 2025 with today's tuition cost. It makes the problem even worse with the student debt.
Top 7 degrees with the highest unemployment rate. Starting at number 7, we got computer science at 6.1%. A lot of companies scaled back entry-level hiring to focus on AI, and nowadays companies want entry-level people to have the skills of a senior while getting paid the salary of an intern. It's crazy. Number 6 is sociology at 6.7%. This one isn't really a surprise because if you don't have a specialty with this major, the market just doesn't favor you. Number 5 is fine arts at 7%. The bar to stand out in this major is pretty high. And unless you somehow blow up online, a lot of gigs just don't pay out well. Number 4 is graphic design at 7.2%. There are a lot of AI design tools out there, so the bar to enter into this field has lowered, and anytime there's new AI tools, companies think at least that they need less human labor. Number 3 is computer engineering at 7.5%. They're in a similar boat to the people in computer science. The tech job market just sucks right now. But trust, it will get better. Number 2 is physics at 7.8%, and this is one of the hardest majors out there with so much math. But outside of academia or research labs, right now there isn't really much placement. Number 1, and I don't think this is a surprise to most people because I think it's been pretty high up there, coming in at 9.4%, we got anthropology.
So I mean, almost half of what he went over is having some issues right now with AI. Not really too surprising when we look at the job market and how quickly it's advanced. And the comment section isn't much better. I'm studying computer science. You said graphic design. I just started computer engineering. So there's a lot of people currently getting those degrees while also knowing that it's not looking too good out there.
I am the perfect example of someone who went to college, got their degree, and never used it. So I have a bachelor's degree. My major was psychology and I minored in education. And my plan was to be a school psychologist. I realized that most of these people hate their job. I was originally an art major, but of course there was no way that I was going to make money that way. So I did change my major to psychology. After I graduated, I still had the artistic itch and I actually tried doing paint and sips for a while. I'm 25 now and still do not have a career. It's just so crazy to me that I made a decision straight out of high school to choose a career for the rest of my life by getting this degree, when in reality, at that time in my life, I really would have no idea what I want to do.
Same, I have a bachelor's in psych and I don't use it. I know I need a master's to pretty much do anything in psych, but I wish I would have majored in something else. Wish my bachelor's didn't go to waste. Don't worry, 90% of people with a psychology degree don't use it. Biggest scam in education. Well, you still put your time and money into it, so I'd be pretty mad. I have a bachelor's and 2 state certifications and don't use any. Straight out of high school, I went to university and graduated with my bachelor's degree in psych, took a gap year, and then went to grad school. Graduated last year, and now I'm a social worker and hate my job. Doesn't sound like a great life to me. Me with my master's in school counseling. I do plan on using it one day though, just not as a school counselor, trying to figure out how to pivot with my degree. There's example after example like this. And then I just had to put this next clip in. We have some people that you almost can't help and have to let them make their own bad financial decisions.
You know what I've realized? Is the $80K that I'm in debt for college, I could have got the 2023 Ford Bronco that I wanted. I don't care what anybody says, a college degree is useless. I said what I said, like, it's useless. You're telling me that I'm gonna apply to all these jobs, pay a shit ton of money for this piece of paper that's not even gonna work. If I get one more email that says, I'm sorry, we went with another candidate, we will keep you for other job opportunities.
So I do understand what she's saying, and she's not wrong, but if her first thought with the money that she's currently in debt for is to go buy a very unreliable Ford Bronco, I mean, what am I supposed to do? I'm not trying to hate on it either. I like the way it looks, just like so many other people, but I do know it has some reliability issues, so the maintenance is going to be pretty expensive. But it just looks like if this person didn't go to college, this clip would be in my credit card debt video or the high car payments video. So hopefully my channel will help people make better financial decisions, but I guess some people, you just have to let them do it. Another comment here, I think a lot of people just went to college because they thought it was the thing to do at the time, and they were told their entire life, you must go to college. Again, going back to my own experience, it's kind of similar. I didn't have the grades to go to a 4-year, so I went to community college, primarily because I was told by my high school teachers and my family that that's how you were going to be successful. It all eventually came crashing down when I knew I was wasting my time, so I decided to cut my losses and drop out, but it does seem like a lot of people wanted the college experience. and were just doing what they were told. Get ready with me for my morning class at University of Miami for my 7th consecutive night out in Miami. This clip was uploaded at the very beginning of the year, by the way, so this almost seems like a guaranteed story that college is not going to work out for this person. They want to party and have the experiences instead of actually getting their education, while simultaneously paying $63,000 for tuition for the University of Miami. That's 2025 figures. That sounds absolutely insane to me. You don't have to go out every night, even though it's a party school. School is the most important. Plus, every class you skip is like $200 wasted. School just started now. How are you skipping? That's exactly why I'm skipping now and not during exam season. That doesn't seem too promising though. Why are we already skipping? Please take college seriously. I get that you're young, but going out daily, putting your attendance and grades at risk for a club, tuition is not a joke, like I just said, 60,000 plus, and academic suspension. Unfortunately, to me, this kind of seems like they're just on a path to failure. Now we could go over to a video with someone talking about their monthly expenses, and you could see that one aspect of this clip is a little bit more expensive than the rest.
I am $205,000 in debt at the age of 24, and this is what I pay in monthly bills. So we're going to start out with my portion of rent. That's going to be $550. My phone is a prepaid phone, so that's only $50 a month. My car payment is $378.59. My private student loan payment is $2,373.35. My car insurance payment is $379.95, and my federal student loan payment is $283.36.
So I mean, I would say the car insurance is pretty expensive, the same payment as the car note, but the student loans adding up to over $2,500 a month seems a little bit out of place compared to the other expenses, but there is a little bit of a part 2 to this video.
So this person wants to know how I'm $180,000 in college debt at the age of 24, and I've only obtained a bachelor's degree. So I have a 4-year Bachelor's of Science and Environmental Science degree from a public out-of-state university.
And there you go. This is a very long explanation of a lot of bad decisions, but this person went to an out-of-state school, which increases the tuition even more, and now they're in $180,000 worth of debt, with interest making that worse every single day. But here's some of the comments. TLDR, a continuous stream of horrible decisions. Out-of-state is the key word, completely avoidable, by the way. Let this be a lesson to others. Don't go to out-of-state unless you or your parents can pay for it in cash, and it's an elite school that will get you a good return on your investment. Speaking of good ROI for your degree, we could take a look at a clip that's the exact opposite.
What are you studying?
I am studying creative writing.
Going to a private institution for a degree that typically does not have the best return on investment.
But I have a passion for this kind of writing.
But
so
is the degree required?
Yes,
Do you have a degree?
Yeah, I have a degree.
In?
Liberal math.
Hey, what can we get into?
I don't know. What can you get into?
What are you studying?
Graphic communications. It's a super basic art degree.
Okay, so unemployment. Got it. We built up $75,000 of student loan debt. Say the degree one more time.
I study Shakespeare.
Okay, Shakespeare. Lovely guy. What are you gonna do with that?
Well, that's such a complicated question.
Oh, no.
This is where you just have to say, we come from different worlds. You're not going to understand this.
What do you mean?
You won't understand like the precarity and why it's really all right.
What do you mean though?
Like your reaction there was like, oh, I
studied music composition in college. I was in the College of Arts School of Music, but I asked the job and you didn't know what to say.
So I have a lot of experience working at writing centers.
Okay.
So I could be that.
This isn't even all the examples from the financial audit. There are many more, but it seems like this could be one of the poor choices that could snowball into you getting on this show. And speaking of poor choices, this type of video has come up pretty often on my videos recently. Somebody trying to get their money back, committing fraud when they got kicked out of school.
Paying over $10,000 for tuition, you move into your dorm and you get kicked out 2 days later. You pay your tuition of $10,702 in full. You unpacked, moved into your dorm, you decorated decorated. You're ready to start your classes for your business major. Be 2 weeks into it, you are now saying that these transactions related to your tuition are fraudulent. You're saying you don't know what these transactions are for. You say that you aren't enrolled at this school. You're saying that you've never applied. You're saying that you go to a community college. We reach out to the business and records office and they say, yes, this person is enrolled, but unfortunately they are no longer taking classes here. I let them know it looks like the student is saying that these are fraudulent transactions and they don't know what's going on. They say we can go ahead and we can submit the paperwork for you, but it does look like there's some academic notes that are here. So give me a couple minutes. I'm going to reach out to that office. The academics office lets the business office know that, yes, the student is enrolled, but unfortunately, they are no longer going to be a student here. All three of his professors flagged his first 2 assignments in his research classes as being 100 AR generated. Plagiarism. Didn't rephrase, didn't sum it up, didn't put in his own words, said 100% AR generated plagiarism. His enrollment was terminated for academic dishonesty. He had until 5 o'clock to vacate the campus. The school said they don't give refunds for violation.
So not only did you think you were going to get away with just 100% AI, don't even reword it, to possibly get away with any of these assignments, you then file a chargeback saying that it wasn't you, this was all made up, I just want my money back. I mean, you can't really make these stories up. But when we're talking about people who just turned 18, just became adults, and now they're going to a big college or university and they don't really know what to do, a lot of people would say that you should be going to a college advisor. They're the one that's going to help you out, put you on the path to success, until you start seeing a lot of videos, comments, and experiences saying the exact opposite.
So I'm looking at the classes you took last semester, and you actually weren't supposed to take any of those. I told you to take them? I don't think so. So I know most people go to college for around 4 years, but what do you think about doing it in 6? All right, what was your name again? Let me look up your schedule. Yeah, you still need to take about 14 gen eds. You already took like 9? I don't think so. Okay, what about your major classes? What major are you? Oh, that's right, business. All right, you need to take Business 101, 102. Yeah, these are all full. I'm sorry. You're saying I told you to meet me right now so we could get ahead of it and make sure you got into all the classes and they weren't full? I don't recall that. Okay, on the bright side though, I am seeing there are a lot of prerequisites that don't really have anything to do with business, but at least they'll fill up your schedule. So are you okay if I fill up your schedule with all those for next semester? I'm sorry, those are actually those are full too. Why didn't you come see me earlier? I told you to meet me at this time. I don't think I would have. I think this is your fault. I'm sorry. This is definitely your fault. Yeah, dude, just figure it out. I don't know what to tell you. This isn't really my job. So just get out.
Step 1, talk to an advisor. Step 2, ignore the advisor. Run degree audit to find what classes you actually need. Register for those classes. Step 3, repeat for every semester until graduation. I swear my advisor is a pathological liar with almost 250,000 likes on that comment. College advisors are just certified gaslighters. It's actually very concerning why they do this. To me, it kind of sounds like it's just a way for the colleges to make even more money off of you. You're taking extra classes that you don't need or going for extra years, like they said 6 years instead of 4, you're still going to be paying tuition prices to get the same degree that you wanted in the first place. You're just going to make the college, which overall is still a business, even more money. Another comment from one of you guys: I got a boring accounting degree. I'm employed full-time and permanent in a boring industry. Healthcare. Goes pretty well with the comment earlier in the video. Do what you're good at, not your passion. Take the money that you make from what you're good at and put it into your passion as a hobby. Now I know this video is pretty depressing, so I wanted to end it on a good note.
Today I'm graduating from Columbia University with my PhD in mechanical engineering.
How did you get into this?
I loved robots and I watched Iron Man when I was in 8th grade.
What kind of job can you get when you graduate?
A whole ton, different types actually. And from PhD you could go into academia, you could go into industry. I am going into industry.
And what's industry?
Essentially working as an engineer or working in consulting, which I am going to be doing hopefully soon.
How much could you make in this field?
There are many ranges. Not particularly sure, honestly. Best thing Columbia has given me is great friends. I have a great support system, great network that I kind of can survive in anything. Yeah.
Finally, a normal graduate from Columbia, because there are a lot of examples online of people getting creative writing, acting. We saw the film degree earlier, an actual useful degree. This woman will go far. PhD in mechanical engineering is not easy to do, very well done. She's actually going to be making money, good for her. So I mean, overall, I would say if you are looking at a 4-year university, please do a lot more research than most of the people have that we've seen in this video, because this could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars and years of your time just to be able to put yourself back on the right path.
Can someone explain to me how I have 4 degrees and still can't get a job? BA in communication, BA in Spanish. BFA in dance. Get ready for this one. Master's degree in freaking journalism. Mind you, I've gotten laid off not once, not twice, but 3 times in the span of 2 years. So if you're feeling behind, just know you're not alone. Basically, we're all cooked.
We're just gonna go straight over to the comment section with this one. You majored in hobbies with 165,000 likes. Communication, dance, Spanish, and journalism. You're qualified to report about the latest episode of Dancing with the Stars on Telemundo. Not much else. Almost 100,000 likes on that comment as well. Did you search top 10 useless degrees and pick what to study from there? You got degrees on high school electives. I'm sorry, but a dance degree, not the most employable degree. The creator responds, not the most employable, but definitely the most iconic. Like, what am I supposed to say about that? The biggest difference between a BA degree and a large pizza can feed a family. Bro has 4 degrees in things people do in their free time, create a Spanish dancing news channel. I mean, this just went on and on. So this was basically the sentiment with everybody in the comment section.
Congratulations, you are studying the most pointless university degree ever. I mean, what are you going to do with that? I hope you don't think you're going to get a job, because I've got news for you. Be honest with me, did you just do it for the freshers? Did you just do it for the student loan? Tell me now.
And we head over to this comment section, not looking too good either. I'm studying journalism, so I got news for you. Marine biology, so far I haven't seen a single fish. I'm extremely disappointed. History, oh, I'm so cooked. Gender studies, political science. Art, started studying before the AI boom. Absolutely cooked. I'm doing criminology, foreign languages. There was about 4,000 more comments saying the exact same thing. And even with the first example, some of those degrees were kind of ridiculous. There's an increasing amount of people who don't use their degree no matter what they got. I asked you guys in the comments. Do you know someone with a degree they don't use? Me, I have a degree in theater and studio art. I'm a stay-at-home mom now. Yes, biblical studies from a private school. We're actually going to see that in a second. Yes, my buddy has a bio degree and he's a manager at a manufacturing company. Me, I graduated with sociology and psychology. Didn't do anything with the course. I have a brother with a marketing degree. I have a cousin with a degree in biology again and a minor in Chinese language. She's currently trying to become a hairstylist. Nearly everybody I know here in the UK, unless it's medicine. I work in a supermarket and there's a nurse who finds less pressure overstocking the shelves than dealing with pressure at the hospital. 90% of the people I know. Me and a bunch of my class that graduated with graphic design degrees. AI is killing art. I mean, there are an unlimited amount of examples on social media, on TikTok, with people regretting the degrees that they got.
Anyone else spend 3 years on an advanced degree that you don't use? Here's mine. The good old Masters of Divinity.
Does anyone know how I can go back 5 years in time and get a different college degree? Because I'd really like to do that, please. Please, somebody tell me how to do that.
I graduated with a psych degree, and was no one gonna tell me how difficult it is to get a job? You might be thinking, why did you get a psych degree? That beats me. I've been applying for months. I've been doing really random jobs just to get by. Delivering food, filing class actions on Sparrow, freelance work. I'm literally about to move home because I cannot find a job.
Did you do any research before choosing your major? A bachelor's in psych has been pretty much useless for quite a while. Psych degrees have been a meme for like 2 decades now. You should have Googled it before you went with that degree. In my area, master's degrees in psych starts at around $59,000 a year. That's pretty rough when you're most likely talking about 6 figures worth of student debt. But we have a comment from you guys talking about an older example in a previous video. Imagine getting a soil biology PhD and then acting surprised when you have to move near farmland. That's exactly what we saw. Somebody spent a ton of money getting a PhD and then realizing that there were no jobs for her where she lived, in mostly a city area. I think this went very well with another example up on screen that I found. The only paleontology program in 100 miles of me hasn't hired anybody new in 24 years. Literally, what am I going to do with my life now? Probably something I would have researched before I got this degree, and that's what people were talking about in the comment section. Paleontology is one of those things you are passionate enough to get a degree in it, now you gotta be passionate enough to devote your life to it. Sounds like you're moving. Have you tried applying at your local Walmart to work in their paleontology section? Oh man. Former paleontologist here, part of the reason I left it is because it's incredibly restrictive for looking for jobs. If you're willing to move though, you could find something. My friend who got a master's in archaeology applied to a PhD programs for paleontology and then realized there's sub-zero jobs. He's a defense attorney now. And most of the other comments were similar to this. I don't know anyone who has a specialized job with a specialized degree that didn't move across the country or to a different country for their job. With something like paleontology, you're going to have to apply everywhere and move for your job. And there was another comment I saw from you guys that went incredibly well with this. It's like getting an archaeology PhD, but you don't want to travel to historic sites. I really don't know what to tell you. If you don't want to move from where you originally grew up, maybe these degrees weren't the best idea. Another interesting screenshot here, when you find out that you got into your dream college, but the first thing on your dad's mind is how are you gonna pay for it? And it's her crying. Now this got almost 10,000 likes and 15,000 comments, so you could probably guess what a lot of people's reactions were, because your dad lives in reality and is trying to make you live in it as well. I think it's reprehensible and extremely selfish to apply to colleges your parents can't afford. I don't know if this is more common than I thought, especially in today's climate where everything is much more expensive. I honestly didn't believe that any parents were paying for their kids' higher education unless they were extremely wealthy, genuinely. So just having this type of thought process is wild to me. Get a good crying, and when you're done, you could start thinking about how to pay for it. And we have another comment here. Follow your heart is responsible for a lot of very bad decisions. Talking about going to school, going to university, to follow your passions, you get a degree in that field, and then more often than not, there are either no jobs or not many well-paying jobs to pay off those student loans. I think this goes hand in hand with your dream college, your dream university. You want to go to this most likely big school that's very expensive, have the college experience, get new friends, party. I mean, just start racking up the debt as fast as possible. And once you're all said and done out into the real world, it is a rude awakening.
What is your major and expected salary?
My major is film. My expected salary is to the moon.
My major is bio. It's pretty basic. I want to be an optometrist, so I'm looking at like 100K to like 150K a year.
Computer science, starting salary, let's hope like 80K minimum, hopefully. I want higher, but like, I gotta be realistic. I don't know.
My major is film. The jobs you can get are vary. You can be a freelancer, you can work for a company. It can go from 50 to maybe 200K a year.
Computer science, I have no clue.
What would you be happy with?
I get like 100,000.
Okay, that's fair.
Major business law, and then my expected salary, I don't know. When I looked up, it said 100,000 a year. That's what it says.
It kind of seems like a lot of these people don't know what the salary range is either. The goal that we've been hearing for years and years, I want to make $100,000 a year. Also, a couple of the guys who did the film degree stuff, I've already talked about it. I was kind of in the same realm. I wanted to do something in film before I eventually dropped out of community college, but it was primarily because I just enjoyed making YouTube videos. I didn't want to be a filmmaker or cinematographers in LA. But regardless, if you truly do have that kind of passion, you don't really need to go to school for it. You just need to do it. You need real world experience putting up all of your projects online for people to see. A lot of networking and grinding it out is involved as well. It's not really a linear path like this. You go from high school to a university, get a film degree, and then right after that you just start making, I guess, anywhere from $50,000 to $200,000 a year. That was one of the guys' projected salary. I mean, again, he's going to have a rude awakening in the real world. Those film guys aren't going to get anything over $60,000. Crazy, only the computer science kids were the realistic ones in this. Well, this video isn't super current, so CS degrees are very oversaturated right now, along with the AI problems. Funny, half of them are going to do nothing with their major. My major was film, and I regret it 1,000%. You don't need a degree for freelancing. That was the film guy as well. And there's even more on screen. Me and my $250,000 degree that can't seem to get me a full-time job, $250,000. Staring at my nursing degree in 2 years, knowing it isn't what I actually want, and wasted years of my life. So she's not even done with it. 2 degrees, no internships, constant rejection, still at college job, nobody's hiring. I don't know what to do anymore. Unfortunately, this was the moment I knew I picked the wrong degree. I could have just made this video an hour long of just example after example like this. I have a criminal justice degree and I hate it. Everything is low paying and awful. You're not the first one I've heard that hates it. One of my friends doesn't even say she has a degree. Why don't folks not research before picking a degree? Graduated with a BS in child development and then realized I don't like kids or working with them. You couldn't have realized that before you got into a whole bunch of debt? Here we have another screenshot, the worst college degrees for employment in 2025. Up at the top, anthropology. We have physics we'll talk about in a second, computer engineering, commercial art and graphic design, fine arts, sociology, there's computer science, chemistry. Unfortunately, a lot of what's on this list is talked about in these videos. Here's another one, most regretted college majors at the top, journalism, 87%. You're getting really close to almost everybody regretting that degree. Sociology at 72, liberal arts again, communications, education, marketing, a medical degree at 58, political science 56, biology 52, and English language and literature at 52%. But we'll go back to a physics degree because a lot of people talk about going into STEM, and it's widely known that getting a degree in physics is very demanding, very difficult. So you would assume that the jobs that you would get after university would be very good, and it doesn't seem like that's the case.
We graduated with a physics degree. We got out, we thought the job search would be easy. We'd be able to find a job, I don't know, NASA, the local electric company, something that involves physics, but no, dude. They don't really want you at the bachelor's level.
There's a big misconception out there that if you major in anything STEM related, you're automatically going to have a great job and great career after you graduate. The unfortunate reality is that this is not true at all, and the difficulty of your major does not have a direct correlation with the job market and the quality of life after you graduate. I know people in my life that were STEM majors that could not find a job after they graduated. The issue is that you have these 18-year-olds coming into college and told major in STEM, major in STEM. They pick a STEM major and they don't realize that a lot of these majors require you to go to grad school to get a good paying job. Take biology, for example. Biology, you need to go to grad school to get a good paying job. It's not an undergraduate degree, but no one really tells you that in high school.
Now this could be the case, however, it can be a double-edged sword. I think it goes very well with the next clip, POV, college graduates coping in this economy.
Yeah, maybe the job market is bad, but it's okay.
I can just do my master's.
And then if it's still bad after I do my master's, I can just
do like a research trip in Brazil or something.
So I don't have to tell you how bad the job market is right now and how some people are avoiding it completely, just going to school for more and more degrees. Whether you rack up different kinds like we saw with the first clip, or you go from bachelor's to a master's to a PhD.
Young adults will stay in college indefinitely, buying degrees to avoid entering the workforce and then facing potential failure, because they're going to fail when they start a new job. And then colleges capitalize on this exact fear. They know that that's what they're afraid of. And so that's when they try to upsell them master's degree programs and graduate degree programs. They promote the idea that an endless pursuit of purchasing paper is noble or even preferable to work. They make it seem like it's more righteous, like it's a higher calling to just sit there and produce nothing except for your own debt, even if it means that you're accumulating directionless debt that has no function for your life. The loan system facilitates them doing this. And as long as they're continually taking out loans, exactly like you said, they'll continue to loan to them and they won't have to pay. So it's a pretty slippery slope. People just realize all of a sudden they end up at the bottom and they're in so much student debt they don't know what to do about it.
And that's why there are a couple videos just talking about these student loan debt on this channel. Either they went to extremely expensive universities, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, or they were just in school for so long, possibly trying to avoid the terrible job market, that they still got into $200,000, $300,000, even $500,000 worth of debt. It's really not surprising to me when I see a lot of these degrees having a negative ROI.
We need to talk about what a master's degree is worth today, especially in light of all the confusion around graduate programs and professional programs. So you can see the data behind me, and the orange is a negative ROI, which 40% of all master's degrees deliver a negative financial ROI. The light blue is 0 to 250, then you got 250 to 500, 500 to a million, and a million plus. But again, 40% of all master's degrees have a negative financial ROI for the person that took them out. Here's the crazy one, 60% of MBAs have a negative financial ROI for those that take them out. Now, MBAs are interesting though, because the top 10% of MBAs have a 1 million plus lifetime earnings, but 60% are negative. So when you go to a top school, you might get a top result, but a lot of MBAs are online, different programs, they don't bring the money.
And that's why I think a lot of people's opinions have changed over the past few years very quickly, honestly. Many were told by their teachers and parents that you had to go to school, university, while the tuition prices kept rising and rising. Now people are stuck with the short end of the stick, and because of social media and everybody sharing their experiences, I've at least started to see a lot of people who are around that age, 17, 18, 19, trying to find different avenues and carve their own way in life. And in my opinion, I can't really blame them.
Less Americans than ever before think college is very important. Why? Because the math doesn't add up anymore. Tuition costs have skyrocketed while wages for graduates haven't kept pace. Students are walking out with 6 figures of debt for jobs that sometimes don't even require a degree. Meanwhile, people are seeing other paths, tech boot camps, trades, entrepreneurship, that can pay off faster without the crushing loans. It's not that education doesn't matter, it's that the price tag on college in America is broken. And when nearly half the country is already struggling with rent or mortgage payments, taking tens of thousands of student loans just doesn't feel worth it. So when people say college isn't very important anymore, what they really mean, it's not worth the cost.
And I really have to agree with that. Hopefully with the younger generation starting to change their opinions on going to college, that could mean that tuition starts getting a little bit cheaper in the future. But on the other hand, I see university after university building bigger and bigger football stadiums, spending hundreds of millions or billions of dollars on these huge compounds, just upgrading everything, while simultaneously the tuition increases almost every year. So I don't know. But when you have college kids at the campus knowing that a whole bunch of these degrees are useless, you know it's bad.
What major is completely useless in 2025?
Business, probably art.
I have no idea.
I feel like all of them. I feel like college is kind of a scam.
Communication. What do you mean you're taking classes for communication? Everyone has communications.
I think foreign language.
Just use Duolingo, right?
Yeah.
Basically, like anything with technology.
Computer science for sure. Why? Because AI? AI.
Yes, AI is coming for all of your jobs. Be ready to be poor, I guess.
Yeah, the computer science, they're done for. Yeah, they're done.
It's crazy to hear because 10 years ago, everybody was pushed to get a CS degree. Computers are the future, which still might be the case. However, AI are taking those jobs, not people. I've heard similar stories with very generic business degrees as well. When it becomes very oversaturated, it means a lot less to companies hiring, and then you're kind of stuck in the same box as the CS majors.
I didn't spend 4 years getting a degree so that I could now write people's names wrong on coffee cups, but here we are. I've applied to over 200 marketing jobs, and I just don't know if there's room for me in that industry. Because right now, I can't even get my foot in the door with an internship, and my resume says that I'm a barista, a grocery shopper, a babysitter, a professional class action claimer in the claims app. I'm honestly not proud of where I am right now because I have a degree. I like to keep telling myself that it's building character, but honestly, I am just tired. If you're also overqualified and underpaid, cheers, I guess.
Unfortunately, undergrad degrees are the new standard and aren't enough to separate you from the rest of everyone else. You have to get a master's or have exceptional work experience to get any sort of job. However, that could turn into people just constantly getting degrees, racking up even more student debt when there are not enough jobs to go around. And then you're in an even worse spot.
I feel like I'm gonna get attacked for this, but I think there is a thing as useless degrees. I genuinely do believe that some degrees are kind of useless and are just there just to be there. I feel like universities are so evil because they know people are not gonna get jobs from these degrees or these courses that they're offering, but they're just offering it because I don't know why actually. Like, if I'm being honest, I don't think you need to study arts for you to be an artist. I would say, honestly, only go to university if you know you need university for you to do that job. For like finance, IT, nursing, medicine.
And we have a comment that goes very well with what she was talking about. Fun fact, universities don't care what degree you choose as long as the check clears. So we could definitely start talking about that as well. Of course, people are getting some crazy degrees that don't have many good careers to choose from, but some of the things you have to do just to get that piece of paper are pretty ridiculous.
I just had my advisor meeting, and why is college such a scam? I sat there the whole time like, this is so stupid. I'm literally done with all of my required courses, but I still need like 35 to graduate to get to the actual credit amount we need. But I'm literally just taking filler classes that are so stupid. I'm taking next semester, I think, 3 PE classes. Why are we paying so much money for me to play tennis, golf, and then yoga? That makes absolutely no sense. And I declared a random minor. I don't really care, but I want to graduate early, and I am still. But why do I need to take stupid filler classes that are really not that important to be able to graduate? And I know all schools do this, but like, why do universities need more money than they already have? And they don't even put that money towards something that's really important, like a new parking lot per se.
Now, one of the comments that I thought was interesting from this post, girl, take the classes that look cool. Learning is fun. Sure, it could be fun, however, it's not free. A clip up on screen right now. This is what I did in class today as a college senior who's graduating in 2 months. This class cost $1,500. Now imagine having to do this over and over again like the last clip. What'd she say, 32 credits? How much money are you wasting for things that legitimately don't matter? It is such a waste of time and money, but again, you have to do this to get that piece of paper. I literally took a walking class, bowling class, volleyball class, stretch and relaxation class in college in order to get enough credits to graduate. How much are all of those classes going to cost in the long run? Because most people have to take out student loans, and some of those interest rates are pretty brutal. So even the $1,500 class could be way more when you eventually pay it off in 10, 15, 20 years. But we could go over to the apparent future of teaching in some of these schools as well.
Test hypotheses or evaluative data, depending on the research objectives.
Types of data collection methods.
I truly caught the last chopper out of NAM graduating in 2019. I'd make a complaint, seriously? Is this part of the class? So glad I got my master's before the AI onslaught. The creator responds, believe it or not, this is supposed to be the lecture. You now have to stare at an AI JPEG with fake facial movements making it look like it's talking, all while you're paying way too much money for these courses.
A realization I've had to come to terms with is that I went to school, worked full time, and got a full 4-year bachelor's degree, and it ain't do nothing for me. I feel like I just wasted my time. I feel like if you're not going to do anything like medical related or law or human resources, and even then, what's the point? What's the point?
You have a psychology degree, you need to get a master's and doctorate. Just going back to an earlier clip, just rack up the degrees and the student debt. That's what's going to fix this whole problem. What was the goal of the degree for you? The creator responds, I don't know, it doesn't even matter at this point. Oh man.
None of the kids currently going into college have 4 years to burn, and they definitely don't have $108,000, which is the NCES estimate for the average cost.
The average 4-year degree is $108,000.
$108,000. The kicker here is that most kids don't graduate in 4 years. They take 5.5, at which point the cost increases to $156,000. Total all-in tuition, lost wages, and interest is well over $500,000.
And that might be the average throughout the whole country, but we've seen examples with way more debt. People racking up $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 of student debt alone, not talking about the potential lost wages or the interest, how much they're actually going to pay at the end of the road. Learning about interest specifically is very important before you take out any of these loans.
30-year-old people that I see having meltdowns on Facebook because they got a 4-year degree, they've been paying off their student loans, doing the right thing, and they were never taught how interest works.
Yeah.
And they got on 10 years after paying their student loans down for 10 years and realized, oh, I've only paid off
the interest, not the principal.
I've only paid off the interest and I still owe a ridiculous amount of money, and they freak out. Like, these kids don't understand what the they're doing. And when so a student loan is literally the government went to a college and said, hey, we're going to subsidize this. So they're never allowed to get out of this. They can't file bankruptcy. We're going to back it. It's 100% covered. It's the same thing they did with the housing market in 2008.
Yeah.
That led to catastrophe.
Yep.
So if you are looking for a future potential career that does require a degree, I would try to make it as cheap as humanly possible. So we're going to finish off this video with a little bit of advice.
I wish somebody would have told me to get my associate's degree. I feel like most schools offer it, but a lot of students get pushed into the 4-year degree. I know some high schools that have like a dual enrollment option where you can graduate from high school with your associate's degree at the same time.
What's amazing is you don't even have to get your associate degree if you go to community college. You can just go and take classes and transfer them to your 4-year. That's what I did. I took a bunch of engineering courses, took some core classes, and I ended up just transferring it to my 4-year college. And it helped me a ton. I saved tons of money. I've never heard of somebody getting a associate degree right out of high school, but literally no one goes to community college. I don't know why. It's great.
It's because so many people want that college experience, moving away from your parents, being able to do really whatever you want, the party lives, going to football games, and you don't really get that while going to community college, but the trade-off is a mountain of debt.
Tell me why I went to a fashion business school. Here's my degree. I went to a fashion business school and I cannot even get a job that makes more than $17 an hour. I work for big brands. Like, I have experience working for luxury brands. I have multiple internships under my belt. I'm very smart. I'm very capable. And literally none of these places are hiring. Every single job, especially where I'm applying to in Manhattan, because it's the fashion capital of the world. I'm like, if I'm going to go anywhere, it's going to be Manhattan. I cannot get a job that pays more than like $17 an hour. Like, am I gonna be poor forever? Like, I'm just like, I can't. And people are like, just keep applying. I'm like, I've been applying every single day doing hundreds of applications. I'm about to call my school up and say that this degree that I spent 4 years trying to get, 4 years, was a waste of money.
I don't know what she expected the response to be. We can look at a couple of the comments. We're surprised that you're surprised with over 30,000 likes. You went to college for a hobby with almost 65,000 likes. Because follow your passion is the worst advice a college kid can receive. I bet all of us heard that during high school. If you follow your passion and get your dream job, you'll never work a day in your life, blah, blah, blah. And I guess that landed this woman maybe $17 an hour in one of the most expensive places to live on the planet. And the last comment, those degrees are for people with connections. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but we'll just go to the next one.
My degree from UCLA is practically useless to me, and I'm sure you're wondering, Sophia, how come? You just got that thing. And I'll tell you how come. So I graduated from UCLA in June with a bachelor's in psychology, and practically all of my internship and work experience was in marketing, because that's what I thought I was going to do with my life after I graduated college. But then 2 months out of college, I had this sobering realization that that was actually not what I wanted to do with my life anymore. And then of course I was very panicked by that realization, because what was I going to do with my life now after everything I had done to set myself onto the right track? And so after some soul searching, I found something new. It was an industry that I didn't realize existed until that moment, but it felt like it had everything I was looking for. The problem is this is not an easy industry to get into, and generally one of the main requirements to even get into it is to have a degree related to that industry, and that I do not have. Yeah, unfortunately psychology is nowhere near that. I also evidently don't have any relevant work experience. So here I am, a college graduate trying to navigate a career change before their career has even started, and somehow get their foot into the door with no prior education or experience to back me. I'm basically starting from nothing and trying to turn that into something. I could have never anticipated this for myself when I graduated college, but here we are. It's not going to be easy, but I'd rather do it now than years down the line.
Okay, so there's a few things to talk about. One right off the bat is one of the top comments in this video. You never really said what you wanted to do. I thought that was odd. She talked about her bachelor's degree, but then the new field she wanted to go into never actually explained it. The other thing is that there were 0 red flags for your at least 4 years worth of schooling for your degree. It's 100% what you wanted to do, probably got into a good amount of debt because of it. And then 60 days after the graduation, you realized that it wasn't what you wanted to do. So what's the plan if this happens again? This new mystery industry she wants to get into now. Basically starting from 0, possibly having to get another degree, put yourself in even more debt. What if you go through all of that again and you don't like it also? I know people have issues changing their majors while they're in college because the difference between high school and a 4-year university is huge. So when you're 16, 17 years old, you may think you want to do this specific field for the rest of your life, and then you get a year into it and you think that, this sucks. After 4 years of working towards that degree, that's when you realize that it was all a waste? I don't know. She never talked about her debt in this video, so hopefully that means that she's possibly debt-free. I know a majority of people in similar situations are not. I highly doubt that there were 0 red flags throughout your entire schooling career.
So which college degrees have the highest and lowest unemployment rates after graduation? The majors with the highest unemployment rates are art history, liberal arts, and fine arts, with their unemployment rates hovering around 8% each. And that's not the worst part of it, because if you look at the other side of the chart here, you'll see that they have pretty high underemployment rates too, which means that people are completely capable of doing more advanced level jobs than the jobs that they're getting hired for. But the 4th place degree with some of the highest unemployment surprised me, and it's aerospace engineering. At first, I always thought that any sort of engineer coming out of college would have really good employment outcomes. But when it comes to aerospace engineering, there's really only a handful of companies that these people can actually go work at. And depending on what's going on in the industry at the time, it may be harder for them to actually get hired. And number 8, physics surprised me too. And I guess if you go and major in physics, I don't really know what it is that you will do with that degree beyond being a physics professor. Because I don't know how physicists really become successful, because it's not like you hear about a new theory of relativity every day.
So some of the degrees on the list are probably not too surprising to many, but whenever you hear somebody having a degree in physics or aerospace engineering, you think that is immediately big bucks, because that is a pretty serious major. But if you don't take a look at the potential jobs before you get that degree, you could be stuck in a very similar situation with art history and the liberal arts, fine arts, all of that. But I guess you do need one of these degrees even to work at a fast food restaurant. We have a comment from one of you guys. A friend manages Chipotle. He said they're only hiring people with college degrees now. If that's not a bad sign, I don't know what is. People hate to use the economic R word, but how can we ignore all the signs that this is a recession? So it's not all bad. I guess you could start working at Chipotle even though you went through 4 years of studying. But going back to some of the surprising unemployment problems with degrees that you think would do really well, we have a whole list of the least regretted degrees, a lot of the engineering, same thing with computer science, just a long list that almost every one of them make around $100,000 a year until you look at the comment section. Psychology is the most regretted degree. Wrong. Petroleum engineering is often regretted since it's too niche, and oftentimes chemical engineers also apply to their jobs. I did civil engineering and I regret it. Information systems mentioned, anyways, I did it and regretted it. Regretting computer science right now. There are tons of these comments. So even when we're talking about degrees with jobs that are supposed to have good pay, it almost seems like it comes down to one thing in this job market.
If you think your degree alone is going to get you a job, you're fried in this job market. Unless you went to a top 20 school and did extremely well, then maybe you can submit an application and expect an email back. But even then, some kid who went to some no-name school, but his dad is a client at JP Morgan, is going to get 10 emails back from recruiters before your resume even gets past the automated system. I know it sucks. You're probably thinking, I'm putting in all this work, I'm getting good grades, I'm paying for college, I should be able to get a job, right? Wrong. You have to move different nowadays. Getting a referral isn't an option anymore. It's mandatory. So where do you get these referrals from? You go on LinkedIn and find people that went to your same college or are in some same activity that you're doing. And this is very important. Do not message them on LinkedIn. Find their work or personal email and email them. They're way more likely to respond to it because they check their email every day.
So on top of doing everything you're supposed to do to get that specific job, now you're also supposed to use LinkedIn, which is job social media basically, and hound either strangers or possible acquaintances that went to the same college as you to get a referral to get that job. I mean, it's starting to sound insane, and I know that networking isn't a brand new thing that just came out, but I mean at this point, all the steps you have to do just to land a job seems to be a little bit over the top, and LinkedIn has its fair share of problems. We've gone over it a few times with the LinkedIn influencers and just how everything works there, the ridiculous posts. It's almost like doom scrolling on Facebook now. It's a very odd site, but we could take a look at one of the degrees that was supposed to be really lucrative to get, but within less than a decade, it's become very oversaturated.
A degree in software engineering is not what it used to be. 4 or 5 years ago, when your great aunt asked you what you were going to major in college and you said software engineering, and she replied, oh, you'll always have a job with that major. My husband helps a lot of recent college grads land roles in tech, and what he's seeing over and over again is engineering students transitioning to something like tech sales.
What degree is completely useless in 2025?
Computer science. I've heard bad things about computer science.
Art degrees.
I want to say any degree.
What degree is completely useless in 2025?
Communications.
Me, I think like political science.
Communication.
Bad to say, but probably computer science.
Any degree can be useless. Any degree can be really helpful.
I don't think any degree is completely useless. I think it's how you use it.
I don't know too much about the last one because we're going to see some degrees that just kind of look like you would do it for fun, but you're also paying 5 figures to do so. But more and more people are starting to realize that the tech sector isn't as good as it once was, but we could take a look at a conversation in the comment section. Hot take, there are no useless degrees. People just don't know how to market themselves and make it work. Then somebody replies, hot take, oversaturation exists. If the supply is greater than the demand, you won't find a job no matter how good you market yourself. If you're narrow-minded and only looking for a job based on the title of the degree, for example, you could use history degrees for the corporate world, teaching jobs for copywriters, etc. But then the reply to that, sure, you could pivot, but that proves the point. Yeah, if you've abandoned your field entirely to find stable work, then the degree didn't align with the market demand in the first place. That makes more sense to me. How many people are we seeing now with specific majors that did end up getting a job in a completely different field? Basically no reason to go to school in the first place. And unfortunately now with tuition costs, that means 5 or possibly 6 figures worth of debt that could have been avoided. And on top of the student debt payments starting up again, it seems like a huge waste for a lot of people. We have another comment from one of you guys. I have a business analyst degree and a master's in data science, and I'm currently applying for childcare jobs. It's impossible to find a job, and I regret going to school for nothing. I will admit, some of the degrees that schools offer are just completely useless, but on the other side of the coin, there are still people that take them apparently, because if nobody went for that major, they wouldn't be offering it again. Here's a perfect example.
Absolutely useless college degrees, part 13. Dance. This is at Western Washington University. So the core classes all seem to be about dance, and I'd assume these higher level classes that all have the same name just progressively get more difficult. And you only need a C- in these classes, really high standards there. But they can't tell you what job you'd get with this degree after you graduate. But you'd be educated about the field of dance through a liberal arts focus. Jeez.
I just graduated from community college with my dance degree. Yeah.
Full bachelor?
No, I got an associate's.
Associates in dance?
Yeah. And
what are we gonna do with that?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's cute.
Well, you know, it's the whole thing. It's like, fine, you know, go after your passion and everything will work out.
Who said that?
I guess myself, yeah.
That's a lot of what we heard earlier in this video, going after your passion. And again, we could all sit and laugh at these ridiculous degrees that colleges will offer, but I guess some people still end up taking them and they're surprised that they can't find a job in that field. On the other side of the coin, I've talked about it too with my own experiences as well. How many people were just told over and over again when we're 16, 17 years old that you absolutely had to go to college, you had to get some sort of degree because then you'd be ahead of so many other people. Don't worry about all the debt that's piling up. As soon as you graduate, you're going to be able to get a job with that degree and then make way more money than anybody else, and it doesn't really seem to be the case anymore.
I always find it funny that people like to criticize others for doing a quote-unquote useless degree when literally from the ages of 14 to 18, and I remember being told this, by the way, I remember being told as a 14-year-old girl that you have to get a degree, it doesn't matter what the degree is, because you will automatically be paid a better wage. That if you don't do a degree, you'll just end up working in McDonald's. Most people I know did a degree that actually is supposed to lead to employment, and that the end goal was the job in that related degree field. But they ended up not getting a job in that degree related field because that degree related field required you to have working experience. And a lot of that working experience can only be provided through actually getting a job in that field, because where are you supposed to get that experience? Or it requires you to do an internship which doesn't pay you. And let's say if you do end up doing an internship, that is not considered to be enough experience. So people end up getting into a job that is completely unrelated to their degree. They end up being really unhappy because that's not the life that they saw for themselves. That's not the life that they want for themselves, but they kind of just have to suck it up and deal with it because there really is no other way.
And whenever we see videos like this talking about these problems, the comments are almost always the same. You should get into some sort of trade. That seems to be the new easy answer for everybody. And while I don't disagree, I know that there are way more people retiring, getting out of the trade. So there are plenty of job openings right now. What happens if everybody actually does switch? In the next 5 or 10 years, the trades could possibly switch into the next tech degrees or CS degrees, business degrees. The exact same things that were told to us. You could get a really good job and then it's oversaturated. Then a whole bunch of people will think that you're dumb that you got into the trade. So did everybody else. This next sector is the one that you should have done. And the cycle just keeps repeating over and over again. We have another comment from one of you guys. College degrees are basically like high school diplomas now. When everyone has one, they're basically worthless. But everyone owes the government for those worthless degrees. So they're doing pretty good. Why do you think there hasn't been any widespread change? It's really all about money at the end of the day. And if you could squeeze out $50,000 or $100,000 per person who's going into college, why would any one of these companies or the government ever want to change it? Even if your major is worthwhile for what you want to do, the amount of money you have to put into gen ed classes that you most likely would have learned about in high school already is unbelievable.
The majority of our time in college is spent on irrelevant material. If you don't believe me, take a look at a few of these pie charts from these random schools. They show the course workload required to get a degree. You'll see that at least half of a degree is spent getting general education or electives. A good portion of general education consists of courses like algebra, chemistry, biology, English 1. You know, courses you should have taken somewhere between 7th and 10th grade. Then you take electives, which by definition don't have to have anything to do with your major. For example, I was sitting at dinner the other night with a table of engineers and we were joking about some of the courses that we took, one of which included African music history at the University of Massachusetts. Not sure how that's supposed to help you as an engineer or tell an employer that you're worth hiring. Then on top of that, you have to consider how many major focused courses are actually major focused.
But you absolutely have to take these classes or you won't get that degree that possibly would be worthless now because of oversaturation or just lack of jobs in the first place. I am glad that more people are starting to wake up to this, especially the younger generation about to go into college. It doesn't really help too many of the people who already went through it and are now in a terrible job market, but here are at least some things to lower your bill if you do decide to go to college.
I don't think college is as worth it as it used to be. If I were looking at going to school right now or getting an education, I would choose not to go. Getting into that much debt for an education that isn't even going to put you ahead of other applicants for entry-level jobs just isn't worth it to me. I think a lot of Gen Z are starting to catch on to that. For starting over now, I would be looking into either community college, online courses, or just self-education. Paying for traditional college education doesn't give you the value that it used to. You can self-educate and start your own business for little to no debt. If you can afford to go to college and pay $100,000 to go to school, I absolutely would. The problem is that there's just no guarantee you're going to get a job right out of college, and a lot of people are unemployed for like a year after they graduate. And that's just not the way that it should be. Self-education, online courses, investing, figuring out how to use your money wisely is the better move. I think four-year colleges are going out of style. There are so many better ways to use our money, and college is not one of them.
Well, I do definitely agree, especially with the community college route saving probably tens of thousands of dollars doing so. The issue with people looking at non-traditional ways to learn something, especially online courses, have turned into many people being gurus and selling their courses or masterminds, their groups, whatever you want to call it, and trying to sell you the idea that you can make hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars drop shipping or day trading, any of the crazy stuff that they try to shill. I'm not saying as a whole that online learning is a scam, but you definitely have to wade through a lot of the crap to avoid getting scammed at the end of the day, because I never went to school for any of the financial knowledge that I have. I learned all of it through watching YouTube videos, looking stuff up online, everything on the internet. So you really can learn almost anything you want online if you have the dedication to do so. You just got to be a little bit careful with some people selling you snake oil.
I'm starting to think that my college degrees have been a waste. Hear me out. I have a Bachelor of Arts in English and journalism with a concentration in creative writing. And then I have a Master of Fine Arts, which is a terminal master's degree in, it's writing, fiction, right? In fiction writing. Originally it was nonfiction, and then I switched to fiction, whatever, right? Right. I graduated many, many years ago. I'm a woman of a certain age. I'm an elder millennial. And I have never been able to find like sustainable work for any like length of time. Now, I did have like a somewhat decent salary at my most recent job, which ended in 2022. But even with that job, the benefits were horrible. And so I was going to have to pay like, I think $3,000 or $4,000 a month for healthcare for my entire family, which at that point, the salary was what? Not only have I never been able to find like sustainable work. I mean, I definitely can't find any work now. I've also have like an insane amount of money, like debt, like it's crazy.
So she just realized now that her degrees were possibly a waste. It looked like she never really got a job with a decent salary. The $3,000 to $4,000 a month just for insurance is unbelievable. And especially for what we're starting to see with all the artificial intelligence, going into those sorts of fields can be very dangerous for the future. But a lot of the jobs that require writing are starting to be phased out by AI. And what happens in 5 or 10 years with just constant advancements with that technology? Seems like a very dangerous game for me to play, but we'll finish off with something that I bet many people wouldn't expect.
I've had to explain this to a lot of people, but an MD degree is useless without a residency spot. So people think that once you go to medical school and get your MD degree, you're officially a doctor and can be a doctor, but you have to go to residency training. And residency training is where you get trained in a specialty of your choice. And sometimes it's not really your choice. So if you are applying to a competitive specialty and maybe don't get the good board scores or extracurriculars or research or things like that, you may not match into that specialty. And if you don't match into your specialty, then you're essentially unemployed and you only have a few choices. So you can either reapply the next year and take a year of unemployment doing other types of work, or you can look at a non-clinical jobs. I know some people who don't go to residency do consulting, work in pharmaceuticals, things like that are non-clinical, but you cannot work as a doctor with an MD degree, which I think is shocking to a lot of people. So essentially, even if you get an MD degree, you are not classified as a doctor and you cannot work in clinical settings unless you go to residency. And some unfortunate people never match and never work as a doctor because of this.
Could you imagine going through all of that school and still not becoming a doctor? And we've talked about residency maybe a week or two ago with someone's experience. They were making, I believe, $15 an hour at the end of the day while they were doing overtime. I believe it was like 65 hours. And looking more into it, residency takes anywhere from 3 to 7 years depending on your specialty. So going to a 4-year university, racking up debt there, then going to med school and racking up way more debt on top of it, then doing residency again, basically losing another several years of your life, I mean possibly 7, while making as much money as a McDonald's employee to become a doctor. Seems absolutely insane to me. I know if you go through all of it, of course you're going to be making a ton of money, but still pretty shocking to think about how much time it takes, and this is all doing everything perfectly. You make any sort of mistake and it just takes even longer. So that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. YouTube thinks you'll like this video popping up on screen right now, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and I'll talk to you guys later.